Hi, welcome, and I hope you're well. And I know last week I was on an interview with Thunder TV about the book, so I hope you go and watch it either on their Facebook or their YouTube channel. And of course, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. So Christina is my YouTube channel. I only have very, very few subscribers, so I'm hoping that most of you will find your way to my YouTube channel. So Christina, you sit with a monkey. And yeah, please do like and subscribe to Sokostina on my YouTube channel. But we are back and talking about the book. Last week we had an amazing interview with Selena on Thunder TV, and we're talking about the book, where it came from, what it's all about. For those that don't know, I did write a book, A Letter to My Son. You find it on Amazon. You find it on Kindle. You just type Tendai Garwe and you will find it there. Or you can buy directly from me, a hard copy from me, and we'll make sure that you get your own copy. Now, today I am having a conversation with one of my mentees slash young sister. A young lady I admire so much. Her name is Ireen Makirimani, and she's coming to talk about herself and embrace your upbringing. Now, for those that don't know, I pick a lesson from the book and I align it within my own network, people that I know personally, people who have lived that lesson. I've seen that lesson, that they have done it so well, and that's why I have a conversation with different people. And one would ask, how do I get to be part of the conversation? Well, firstly, you gotta read the book. Yes, read the book. And of course, if you think, when you've read the book and you think that you are aligned to a certain lesson that I have not covered, then we'll have a conversation. So today, Irene is going to be talking to me about embrace your upbringing. And as I always do on the show, I first read an extract from the book and then add Irene on and we have a conversation. So lesson 21 of A Letter to My Son, 40 plus 1 Lessons of Life and Success, talks about embrace your upbringing. You are who you are, born and raised by not just your parents. You've been loved and cared for by so many people in different stages in your life. Some of them were family, but most of them were my personal friends and church family. You are everyone's child. And I know as people watched Everyone's Child, that's where I got it from. There's a family tree that you come from, and you should embrace your background. To share the message, what a better way is to tell you about the humble beginnings where you came from. Look where you are now, but where you are is not always been like this. We can safely say thus far the Lord has brought you Ebenezer. This was once a hazy picture in my mind. We sure haven't arrived yet, but we are not where we used to be. We started off in Urua at Sekuru Mombeshora's house, staying with Auntie Grace. Tanya was still a baby then, and it was a full house. Then Gogo Garwe's sister died in the UK, and at the same time, I needed to go back to school. You were then taken by your dad's aunt in Waterfalls in Harare while I went back to Africa University for my studies. Gogo came back after a month and took you just in time for my graduation. Then we went back to Rua. I mean, this book is amazing. I am telling Tawanda everything about life and where he came from and who he is. And I'm going to wait for Irene to join in. While Irene is joining in, or she should say, there you are. Hey, you. How are you? Nice. Short hair suits you.
I'm embracing the look slowly.
Natural look it is.
Yeah.
And how are you, Irene?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. What are we using? Are we using Titi or using Irene? Which one are we using?
These days, Irene. Irene a lot more. Yeah.
A lot more. Well, I am so excited to have you on on my conversations with people I've seen excel and do amazing things concerning the life stories that I have shared with my son. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, this is to prove to him that it actually can happen. And it's weird. You know him personally.
I do. I do.
How was Tawanda as a child?
He's exactly like you. I have to say he was exactly like you, very like a free spirit where other students would be complaining about something. You'll be like, oh yeah, I can live with this. So he was very accepting of situations, quick to adapt. Like he came into boarding knowing that he stayed very close to home, but he never acted like, I know I stay close. He was always like, yeah, I'm here to learn and to have a good time. So he's very much like you.
Oh, well, and of course, we're going to let people know how you know Tawanda personally. Of course, your life journey would then
Mhm.
explain why you know him personally. So, who is Irene? I mean, I do know you, but they don't know you, those that are watching. Who are you? What are you about? Where are you from? Why are we talking
Uh,
about you and your family?
mm. Okay. Thank you again for having me here. I like I always like talking to you. So when you're like it's your time, I'm like, oh yes, a conversation with you. I would love, I would love. So Irene, I've been trying to answer that question to be honest on who Irene is. Irene is Irene. Like Irene is Irene on purpose. Whatever she gets up to do, she does. Whatever she thinks she wants to do, she goes out and does it. But currently, for to put like a structure to it, I'm currently pursuing my articles and the same time, because I'm such a doer, I've also gone in, I started companies that are supporting the school that I've been a part of. I also work for my parents in a family run business. So I'm just doing Irene at 25. We'll see what Irene at 26 looks like.
You are only 25 and you have done amazing things, Irene. You were born in a family of how many people?
Family of four, so they're three girls and one boy.
And you are number what?
I'm number four, the last
You
one.
and you grew up in where did you go to school?
Went to school to Godfrey Huggins for primary school. Went to my parents' preschool actually when they had started the preschool. Then went to Godfrey Huggins in Marondera, and then Form 1 to 4 went to Christa Mambo, and then finished off A levels at Watershed College.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are a hardcore Marundera Mashonaland East girl.
Yes, yes. But loving Harare though, loving Harare. Harare is
I know, we
activity.
all came to Harare. So tell me about your family. It's really about embracing who you are and embracing your upbringing. Tell me about your childhood, where, how was it going to your parents' preschool, growing up in Marondera around your family?
Okay, so I grew up in Marondera. Mostly with my mom. My dad left the country to go and work in the US for 6 years since I was grade one. So I grew up with my mom most of the time, worked with her a bit. Learned at the preschool, which was hard. You know, when you're learning at your parent, like I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that, but when you're at your parents' place or workplace, you always feel like you're a boss. But my mom never made me feel like that. She always made the
All right.
teachers treat me like any other child, which was I hated that actually, but I don't know, I survived it. So basically, my parents are running a group of schools called Wise Out Group of Schools. I've been a part of the business since growing up. Like I went to that preschool, and grade seven, they offered me to say, okay, instead of you just resting at home, come and help us run the preschool. At least come and help inspect, because then my dad was back, but he wasn't really much involved in the business. But my mom was still teaching at another school, so she was like, I need someone to help me just monitor when I go off to my other job. So I was there and I would help out from grade seven, and then again at Form 4 break, again at A level break. So I've been part of the business. I've worked with my parents. I've had to look at them both as parents and bosses at work, which basically started mostly around Form 4. When I did my Form 4 break, that's when I was now like an employee. By grade seven, I was just really helping out. Yeah.
So would you say your upbringing, the way you were brought up, has made this Irene who at 25 is making lists that I never thought I would personally make lists of influential people?
Oh yes, like like my story of the Rewrite podcast, it was basically me learning to embrace my upbringing, because when you wrote this chapter, I was like, this is such an important topic to have with your son, because I struggled with embracing my upbringing. Yes, I knew how I grew up. Like I started working at grade 7, when others were resting and
I know.
relaxing, and just my parents were like, okay, you're going to work, and what are you going to be doing at work? Give us a report and feedback on what you've done. That wasn't easy at all, but I learned to just embrace it. So the person I am today is purely because of how I was brought up. How I was brought up, the good, the bad, everything involved. It has made me who I am today. Everything from the lessons, from being asked to wake up at 5 a.m., sometimes at 6 a.m., all that has made me who I am today.
So would you then say, were you just brought up within your family, or was there a whole lot of other people? Because if you're interacting with teachers, clearly they'd influence with you.
Mm-hmm.
But what was it like? Was it only with you and your parents, or you had influence from other people, church? What was it? Your upbringing was, I mean, because you're solid. For a 25-year-old, you have a great head on your shoulder. So I think it's got something to do with how you were brought up.
Yeah, it definitely does. Which experiences can I pick? So just from like the nearest experience I had, like, which was leading our high school at the age of 21, I had to lead people who were older than me. And I had to listen to them. I had to pay attention to what they're saying. I also had to disagree. So all those conversations. So for me, what really influenced my upbringing were the conversations I had to had from a very young age. For example, at grade 7, I had to induct teachers to say, this is how we do a YSL graduation ceremony. This is not how my mom wants to see a play. This is what we need to involve. So all those conversations, even on the times I made mistakes, all those conversations are what has led me to who I am today. So it was conversation when I was grade 7 with teachers, again at Form 4, teachers that are older than me, with parents. Like, my parents are big on feedback. So when they give you a task, like especially my mom, if she gives you a task, she wants feedback. Okay, what happened? What did you do right? What do we need to address? So all those conversations I had with her at Form 4, again at A level, and especially when I was after A level, when I then joined to start running the high school, that was the biggest challenge, and that has influenced who I am today, because I had to interact with Anasoko, who were like the vocal parents, who be like, I paid fees. What are you saying? You don't have this. So so
Crazy
conversations
parent.
have
I was,
really,
although
yes.
I was a crazy parent, but I was a good, supportive parent. I was
Oh,
everywhere,
very.
at every sporting event.
Oh, very, very, very. Like, we knew you'd be biting us at the back, but making sure that we're looking and delivering exactly what we've been asked to deliver. So it was necessary pressure. But all those conversations are what led to who I am today.
So you were brought up with business in mind, and the
Mhm.
first port of call was the school business. So why is the whole group of schools started as a preschool, then it went to a primary school? And why did your parents give you the high school and your brother the primary school?
It was
Did you?
because of experience. So my brother did the teaching course at Gateway Teachers College. So it was very much primary. So when he left, they were like, okay, so you joined the primary school. And not to toot my own horn, but I was very sharp in high school, 10, 8, 15 points. So when they said, okay, you're done with your A levels, I'm sure you will relate more with the high school. So they just trusted to say, if you can deliver an A in your own subjects and a B in your own subjects, you definitely can pick up the high school, at least to assist. So initially it started off as just make sure we are using the right textbooks, or just make sure we're teaching the right concepts. And then with experience and with spending more time in the school, they then said, okay, now you can actually pick up the whole department and lead it, from inducting teachers, recruiting teachers, because you're like, you would know if a teacher is teaching well because you're an A student. So it also had all that involved, but they didn't just like, you did a primary school course, so go do that. And you've just left high school and you're sharp, so you know the area more, so go into it.
Yeah, so
That's how
because
it
why is our group of schools started from nothing, ground up? I was there.
mm,
There was no swimming pool. There were no
mm,
courts. There was no village, African village. And I
village.
saw
Yeah.
you be a big part of that school. I mean, I love that school. I have my own honorarium board member seat at that school.
Yes.
But I, what is it that the principles that you were talking about, your parents and all that, but where did you get all these ideas to say, okay, we can actually grow it from here to there, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do? You're only 21.
It was exposure. My parents are big on exposure. So that's one thing. I remember when I was negotiating to leave Christmas, I hated Christmas. It was a good school, yeah, grades guaranteed. But I hated the school because it wasn't giving me exposure. So if you spoke in English, people would be like, hey, you know, that kind of thing. So I was like, I want to leave. I want to go to a different school that I can speak in English. I can improve. I can at least go on trips because I'd seen my brother. He had been at Watershed from Form 1. So that exposure influenced everything that I was then doing, because just from being at Watershed, there were camps involved. There were camps involved. There were conversations that we had. I remember that the headmaster used to have, which is something I then actually started doing at Wiseau, used to discuss books. Like, she would sit down and let's read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So she would do that. And I then just said, when I went to Watershed, I said, to Wiseau, I then said, okay, how can I better this? How can I improve on this? But all those ideas were just exposure. So they were big on, you want to, I remember even when I was then at 21 years old, I used to go to Cambridge workshops. So Cambridge would run workshops for teachers to say, how do you teach business studies better? How do you teach geography better? And my parents used to just say, go. The other time I was in Botswana alone, I was in Ghana alone. So they would just used to say, go wherever you need to go to equip yourself. Because they were like, we don't know everything, definitely, but God has blessed us with this. So how do we sustain it? Let's expose you who's ready to learn. So it was really on exposure to say.
That explains why in grade 6, Tawanda was flying to Victoria Falls. And I was like, why am I paying so much money? They could go by bus, because we used to go by bus. But kudos to you, because exposure, that was his first time on a plane. And my first time was like at 25, like your age. But, kids had that exposure. And I mean, I'm so impressed. I didn't know that you were big on exposure. That's exposure. That's why you love to travel. That's why traveling is a big thing for you.
Yes. Because my parents' vision for the school is really the same vision they have for us as their children, to just make sure that we are fully prepared for the world ahead. So they just say, what do you need today? What can I expose you to today for you to be able to survive tomorrow? So that has been their motto for us as their children, and for the same thing for the school. So that's why we continue to push. Who do they need to meet? Who do they need to talk to? Where can they go? What can they do? Obviously, there are challenges too, but we say, how can we make sure that they are ready to face the world that's after school? Because we're not teaching them to survive here. Oh, yes, they need to survive here, but it's beyond Wiseau. It's Tawanda then having to go to Australia, and can he fit in Australia?
And I should say, when he got to Australia, he fit in like a glove, like a hand in a glove, because he was coming from a school that had given him exposure, not just by traveling, but by reading, by interaction, like you're saying. And I would definitely recommend Wise Owl for anyone's child who wants to go and have a solid, affordable education. They definitely should go to Wise Owl. So when you then did your time, and I call it like do your time, like you were in prison, and then told your parents you want to break out and do articles, how did that conversation go?
It wasn't easy. Well, my dad just felt like, you know what, you didn't go to university. You need the experience to work with totally different people who are not us, because us as parents, we can be lenient or we can be too harsh. So you do need that exposure. My mom was like, don't waste your time. Don't go. Don't do it. My mom was big on, you know what, you everywhere you are is a classroom. So if you're going to go to Deloitte because you want to, but if you're going to stay here and still want to learn, you can. So it was just basically, where did I want to learn from? Did I want to stay learning, or do I wanted to choose a different environment to learn from? So it was
girl, you're dropping nuggets. You're dropping nuggets. Everywhere you are is a classroom. You have to learn, because a lot of people stop learning and people think they've arrived and they know it all. So articles, why? Articles, why? From teaching to articles?
Well, articles have something I'm learning now, which I didn't like. Okay, so like I said, I left high school and went straight into the family business. I tried articles like first time in 2015, and I left, and then I came back again. So why I came back to articles is because they give you like an experience to want to be around people your age, because I had never been around people at my age. Like I'd been leading people older than me, or high school students, or pre-primary school students. I needed the experience to be around people my age, at least to play. Like I always say, I didn't play enough. I didn't play enough because grade 7 I was already in leadership position, so it was tough. So I really enjoyed this experience of being around people my age. And then
But
second of all,
but does that
it
also translate to you being in leadership? Like, does it come naturally to you? Like when you get to a place, do you just naturally feel like, I think I need to take leadership? Yeah.
well, with articles, it's a bit different. I really went in to try and be a student, to learn, because that's something you learn in university, or that's what I think people learn in university. They learn to learn because university content, from my experience now doing my accounting degree, it's nothing like it's the same A-level content and then cap plus, like it's really repetitive content. So I just felt like it's an environment that I'll be learning to learn, because again, if you're a leader, if you're not learning, which is where I felt I was now, because I was in a burnout by the time I left the schools to say I want to try articles. I wanted to be in an environment that pushes me to learn, pushes me to receive feedback, because those two things are going to be so important to my leadership journey. And even that, I even then said, okay, I'm still going to do my businesses even though I'm still pursuing articles, which is crazy because articles is a 2 a.m. to 2 a.m. task. Like you don't get a breather. But I still said I want to be able to learn and apply at the same time. The ability to learn and the ability to listen, and actually just to follow, because I feel like just being in an environment where you're constantly leading can also make you feel, you can almost, what's the word, insensitive to the people you're leading. And again,
Right.
with leadership,
Right.
you can't be insensitive to the people you're leading. So right now, when one of my staff members says, "Ma'am, I'm tired today," I'm like, "Bo, go and rest, go," because I understand
Hey,
being
so
tired. It's real.
you learned the art of burnout. Because
Ah,
when you were a wise owl, you were a slave driver. I really like you were
ah,
driving people to work. So now
ah,
you learned from your
ah.
article. Hey, I'm tired. No.
Oh, and that's one. And I always fear interviews, because I feel like people are gonna drop in and like, "Oh, we've heard about you and what you used to do to people older than you." I fear that, but I've just learned to embrace it.
Never.
If I knew better, I would have done better. But now I know better, so I will do better. So,
Of course, I mean, we get better. We are like wine. We get better with age because you are a student of life. And I love that about you. You keep learning. You never stop learning. But then articles was not enough for you. And then you're like, I want to do things that are out there. And you're like, let me do a podcast. And then
yeah.
let me start training and being a coach. Like, how did that happen? Like, when are you gonna rest? How did you get to that?
I'm really hoping with all this work I get to rest when I'm 30, 31.
Okay.
I need to know that I'm going to rest then, so that all this is worth it. So yes, I went into doing a podcast because, again, what I realized in the 3 years that I was leading the high school and growing the school was that I'm actually a teacher at heart. Like, I enjoyed being in the classes. I enjoyed making sure students are grasping their concept. I even took up extra remediation classes for math and accounting, because I started discovering this area of me that I actually like teaching people. I like making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing and know what they're doing. So again, the podcast was another. I wanted a venting portal, but again, I allowed God to use that venting portal to actually be a learning platform, to say, how do I help people? And like I said earlier on, that it was really from me trying to embrace my upbringing. Because with all this said, like, I don't even want to make my story look so glamorous. I hated my story because I felt like I should have played enough. I should have gone to university, because I wanted to go to Nana States and and enjoy and drink, and also I have those crazy nights. But I didn't have that. I had to start trying to create those nights here in Zim, to just say, okay, let me have a night out. But again, because you're staying with your parents, you're like, okay, 10 o'clock, I'm back in the house. So really, it was me learning to love my story, learning to say, it's okay I had to work at grade 7. It's okay I didn't have enough time to play at form 4 and at A-level break. And then in that, I started venting about that and venting about how I was rewriting my experiences, venting how I was rewriting my relationship with my mom, because I stayed with my mom for a very long time. And it can cause a bit of friction. So I had to say, how do I rewrite what she's trying to impart on me? And how do I learn to love that? Because it's my, I guess when I turned 21, I started to realize that whatever is in my life right now is here. Like there's no other life that I have. So I might as
Come
well
on,
say
that's
these are my
good.
stories, and I love them. And I love my story. The same way as Tawanda needs to realize that they grew up in Rua, you had to shift houses, you had to go back to university, all these things that happened in his life. He has to learn to love that story, because what I realized was that even if I'm not conscious of it, it has made me who I am.
Come
Even if
on.
I don't
That is
appreciate that I woke up, I had to work at grade 7. I had to, and it did something in me, but if I don't embrace it, I can't use it. So it was really a platform that I was like, let me vent about this. But then God said, okay, actually, let's use it.
But I like that you were rewriting, you were embracing a story, rewriting it, and giving like call to action. Like if this is not working, or if you feel a certain way in this way, then you should take a particular direction to make you feel better, or to make your life better. And that's when you went on Heart and Soul on radio, which means your podcast had grown. How did you get onto radio? Everybody's trying to be on radio. How did you make it to radio?
I use the one thing that you continue to remind me about, using networks and connections. Like if I know you, I know everyone you know. So my best friend knew one of the presenters who just left Rutendo. So I was like, okay, I have Rutendo's number. I just want to share with her that I'm doing my podcast and that she wants to listen to it, and how can I grow it into a platform on radio. And then when I sent her a message, she was like, oh yeah, can I have you on my show? She didn't even listen to any of my posts. She was like, you know what? If you reached out to me, I guess let's do this. Come, let's record yourself. Again, it was the beginning of the pandemic, like in March. I was just at home and I was recording. I had more time to record. So she was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So it started off as 2-3 shows when I was just recording and sending her the recording, and they'll post them. And then eventually she's like, you know what? I'm leaving the station. So do you want to make your segment a particular show? And I was like, yeah, let's try it. I remember coming to you, I'm like, should I? And you're like, go.
Because opportunities, you are the opportunity, but opportunity also follows those that want it and seek it out. It actually. So how long have you been on radio for? Are you still on radio?
It's been a year now. I'm still trying. So I had to take a pause because I was really trying to figure out what do I now want to what impact do I now want to make. I didn't just want to be there to just be there. I really wanted to know that I'm using the platform for something beneficial. So I said, let me take a slight pause. But it's been a year now. I've got, I think, about 20-something shows now. 20-something shows that are available on their Facebook page, which for me is like, yeah, wait, how did we even get here? We started off just wanting
Well,
to
I
but
know.
now when you Google up Ireen Makirimani, you get all this content to go through. So
and then beginning, what was it, end of last year or beginning of this year, you then decided to partner with one of Purpose Coaches and said, let us do a combined coaching. What was that about?
So I met Ralph in different events, and I used to follow the Mesh event that he does monthly. And I used to always just like his content and things that he would post on Facebook. So I reached out to him and said, you know what, I'm really thinking of doing a masterclass just to create content for someone to go through when they think about purpose. Because he talks a lot about purpose, and I literally call myself Irene on purpose, because I say I am me on purpose. Everything that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do it on purpose. And I know that purpose is such a it's a scary word to myself as well, and I think of it. And I just wanted us, let's talk, let's debunk what purpose is and what it looks like daily. So yeah, we partnered up, we lined up a couple of topics to go through. We picked up topics from also his book. He wrote the book Pursuit of Purpose, which is like a book you would want to read when you've just forgotten what purpose is and just want to be reminded about things to focus on. So we took topics from there and said, let's do I think it was 13 days It was about 13,
Yes,
10, 10,
30.
13 days. So we're
Yeah.
doing videos. So we did pre-recorded videos on one particular day. We just blocked out 2 hours. We did the videos. But basically what I wanted to drive was the topics we were covering, that purpose is a task. Purpose is you getting up and doing something about what you desire, what you love, what you feel inspired by the Holy Spirit to do. It's you just getting up to say, what can I do? And purpose is people you're meeting, people you're talking to. We wanted to just say, let's narrow down what purpose looks like, what it looks like to both of us. As people who are sharing content, people who are entrepreneurs, people who are also chasing what this purpose thing looks like. Because it didn't mean that had all the answers, but basically we're saying, let's debunk what it looks like to us and let's share that content for anyone who's probably going to go past the topic and realize just purpose is a task, purpose is a conversation, purpose is you getting up and doing the work, purpose is not this mystical thing, purpose is you just pursuing what you feel inspired to and refining it as you go. So that was why we did that, which was very exciting.
Irene, you amaze me, because the more you tell me about what it is you're doing, the things you're putting together, you can clearly see that your upbringing had a big part to play with. I mean, big part to play, because you are never stopping. You're always on the go. You've got multiple streams of income. You're trying to not only improve yourself, you also want to improve others. And I also know you personally, because while you were doing this purpose thing, an idea of a hangover chef came into your head. What happened to that? I mean, what was going on? Were you hungover? Whatever. What happened?
So during lockdown, I started cooking a lot because our house help wasn't around. She went away just beginning of lockdown. I think no, just before lockdown started. She was away when the country was closed off. So I started cooking a lot more at home. So I started just making meals, just trying to be creative with meals for my parents, etc., for breakfast and dinner. So in the middle of all that, I got frustrated because I couldn't do the events I wanted to do, like at the school. We wanted to open up our culture center for more public events because that had died down a bit. So I was like, I want to open it back up. I want to do that. But again, there was lockdown and we couldn't do anything. So I was on a call with my brother venting. I was telling him, you know what, I wanted to do this. I can't do that. I'm frustrated about this. I don't like my audit works. I really need something else to keep me excited about every day. And he was like, just keep thinking about something. He was like, keep thinking about what you can do with your cooking and etc. So I sat down and was like, okay, how else can I do this? I'm like, okay, let me start advertising. People are doing home deliveries. What can I cook? So he was keeping road runners at home in Maronde, right, the school. So I was like, you know what, you can send me 5. When you come to Harare next time, please bring me 5 chickens. Then I can try and cook that and deliver to people's homes. And I was like, fine, I'll bring them to you. So we had one bird in our house, in our fridge. That was like from the last shipment he had brought through. And I did have my flyers on Canva. I just started posting. I sent them on Deep League. I just said, you know what, whoever finds this, if they don't, at least I've tried. For me, it was really like, at least I've tried something than to just sit and cry about the situation. And then one afternoon, I don't know where I wasn't even at home. One of my chefs calls me, because I do catering for the preschools in Harare as well. So I had recruited people to help me when the lockdown had started. So this guy calls me, hi ma'am, someone wants a road runner. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't sell road runners. And he's like, no, is it we posted? Is it we posted that we are cooking road runners and delivering to people's homes? So someone wants it. And I'm like, are you sure they say they want one? And he's like, yes. I'm like, do they know? How did they find us? And said they saw a fly. Because I'd forgotten. This was like a week later after posting all the flyers around. So this guy comes and says, okay, I want a meal. I'm going out to drink and I want something to eat when I get back home. So I went into my mom's kitchen, cooked up something. I didn't even have packaging. So I packed it in one of our new big lunch boxes, delivered it to his house. And he was like, oh yeah, well done. You bring lunch boxes. I'll wash it up and you can bring another order tomorrow. I'm like, what do you mean another order tomorrow? Like, oh yeah, I can order the road run again tomorrow because this one I'm taking to a function. I'll eat it there and then I'll need another one to eat tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So I remember discussing, I think I was discussing with you to say, you know what, I've started this. There are people who order. So even the guys at the flats I stay, they started ordering. I said, I sent them a flyer and say, guys, because they're bachelors, I said, guys, if you ever need a meal in the morning after you're drinking, because they would, during lockdown, they would drink like every other day. So I was like, guys, if you need a meal, just let me know. I can cook up something and deliver it by 7. So that when you wake up, the suds are ready and the roadrunner ready. And roadrunner was really just a pick for me to say, I didn't want to make normal chicken because people do that. I wanted to make something that people dread making, which was a roadrunner, because it takes forever to boil. So they were like, oh yeah. So one day they also just called me up and said, hi, we're drinking, we need food. And like, you need food now? I was like, yeah, we need food. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing something over. They tried it in the afternoon. They're like, we want again in the evening. So that's how it started. And we were discussing, we were like, yeah, let's call it the hangover chef. Like, I'll deal with all your hangovers. So I'm really trying to grow. I've actually been planning how to grow the brand to make it more. I want to try and do like young people events of, we're drinking, but let's eat also nice food as we're drinking to just reduce the hangover. Like, I really just wanted to be around that, because I felt like, who's doing that? There are people doing cocktails. I want to be part of the events to say, how do I make sure when people are drunk,
I know, and I think you picked a good niche, because a lot of us, we kind of gravitate towards the foreign food. But I mean, I would so want a road run. I would want muriwo and dovi for my hangover. I love that brim, you know, like there's something about your home cooked meal that is so delicious, and I love that, Irene. Like, you are unstoppable. You said you're 25. You're lying. I mean, I'm 38, and I'm barely trying to put together. You're lying. I am so proud of the woman you are and becoming, because you have clearly made it into spaces that I am in right now. You know, I know there's a secret of something we are in together as, you know, women of influence, but I'm like, this young woman is absolutely amazing. I know because at 2 a.m. Because you can't cook salsa at 2 a.m. But when I'm hungover, there's something about that casada, and you know what I mean. Oh wow, Irene. And then, Irene, why are you not writing a book? Why are you not writing a book? You've got so much to say and share. Is that in the pipeline?
Yes, definitely. Definitely the pipeline. I'll be able to share about it soon. I've sent it to the editor, so he's trying to put all my thoughts on together. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope I'll be able to talk about it soon. But you inspired that, Soko. You inspired that. Just try and put my story down on paper. I appreciate you.
And you should, and you should. And I'm gonna brag. I'm one. I know she's got plenty, but I'm one of her mentors slash older sister slash only a person who calls when I think she's being funny. But it's because of your upbringing. It's the love your parents have, the community they have. I mean, your family to me is my family. When my mom died, you know, Leslie, actually your brother and your parents, they showed up, they provided water, they made sure I had chairs. It was as if, you know, like I am totally part of family, and they were all over. Even when I got ill and injured, your parents were there, were even making sure if I needed anything, I would call them. And of course, you and I, we were destined to be in the same path, walking towards being influential people. Irene, I am so proud of you. What are you working on? What should we look out for? You are only 20 flipping 5. Imagine what you've been doing at 35. Imagine that.
I can't wait. I'm currently crying about what I'm going through. So I'm like, God, I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. Because even when I was in grade 7, I used to cry a lot. And when I was in Form 4, I cried. You know, I used to cry every time parents would shout at me when I was 21. So I cried about that, and it has made me who I am today. So I'm crying about things that I'm going through right now. And I'm like, God, I can't wait to see what you're going to do with that. I can't wait to see what doors you're opening up. I can't wait to see what opportunities that you're bringing closer and closer to me and having me to get access to. So I'm really just excited to get God to use me. So definitely all my social platforms are going to be used for just spreading the word. I want to really people to help. I want to grow this rewrite thing, because, you know, like I said, I had to rewrite how I viewed my own background. I had to rewrite how I viewed my own parents, to say, they don't hate me. They actually love me and see something in me. But if I don't see it, I would despise everything that they're trying to work through me. So really, I'm going to be growing this rewrite brand to say, what else can it look like? What platforms should it sit on? What events should it be part of? So that we get people to continue to rewrite their journeys, rewrite their experiences, and lay hold of the gifts that their experiences come with. Because you're sharing, like, I read that chapter on embracing your upbringing, and I was like, Tawanda needs to hold on to these experiences. You're not just sharing, you're not just oversharing, and you're literally giving him things to say, if my mom went through this, I can definitely go through better and bigger. So there's nothing really I can't overcome. Sorry. Like, I'm thinking right now, my parents are not even at home. They left the house at 7 a.m. in the morning. So when I look at that and the things that they have gone through, and the things that I'm currently, because this is already part of my upbringing, because I still am talking to them, interacting with them, having conversations with them, I'm still being brought up. So I'm like, okay, embracing this will definitely bring out something bigger in me. So it's really, like you said, embracing, accepting everything that is around me, accepting every conversation I've been a part of. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for your future. I'm excited. I know you now because you're a force. You are a force. You are a network to be connected to. And I think, you are a door. You will open for people. I think, you're actually the person who will be like, this is it, walk through it. And I've got my friend Tatenda who's here, and I mean, he's commenting a lot. Two Tatendas, they're both in the US, and one of them is starting a Montessori school. And when he does come to Zim, I would definitely let you meet him, because, he is also going through some of the pains and the births that you went through about running a school, finding who you are, doing a podcast, things that I've been pushing him to do, podcast. And me, I think we should be all out there. I love to see people winning. If you win, I win. That's my story. And so I can't be the only one winning. So I'm looking forward to this book. When should we expect this book to come out?
I'm pushing for when I turn 26. So
right,
that's July this year.
July. That's July this year. Okay.
Yes.
So 26, you'll be an author. Oh, for those that don't know, remember when I said there's a school I forced to take my book? This is the school. Why is that?
Yes.
Will be taking my book and using it for lessons. Of course, they're great lessons. They're great lessons.
Definitely. We want all the boys to know.
Yes, not only the boys, even the girls, they all should know certain things about life. Well, Irene, you do know people are wondering, do you go out? Do you date? Are you a normal human being? Because you seem to be on the go with your life. Do you have a social life outside your work?
Oh, yes. This year, I've intentionally said I need to be 25. I need to embrace 25. I don't want to be a 40-year-old, 25-year-old. So, yes, I do go out. This year, I also said I want to start off the year by theming my months. So this month is fun month for me. So I said fun month, I'm going to read in the sun. I'm going to read in the sun. I'm going to travel. I'm going to take myself out. So every week I've been finding restaurants to go out to. And so it's really spending time with family, hanging out, doing chills at home. So I have a life. I've intentionally created a life this particular year. So definitely I'm trying by all means to act 25.
No, of course you are 25, and I'll hold you accountable to being 25. When at 25, I was already a mom, but you've got a good head on your shoulders. Jeff, one of my friends, was on the timeline also saying, why Zawo's got a great rugby future. It's so true. And you know how hectic I was as a rugby mom. I used to get kicked off. Like, this month I should get off because I was...
Yeah.
And it's I would support from Tawanda's team to under 16 to I would bring people, and I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders, Irene, and I know you are winning, and I believe that those that don't know you should take time to know you, because you are going to make history, and you've made history. You keep making it. Like, you know, those people who keep dropping my hits. Hey, you are the guy. You keep dropping it.
Thank you.
What do you want to say to your family? Because I know your brother does crazy things too, plays polo, and your sister does. You know, what do you want to say to your family and your mom and dad?
To my family, I just want to say I appreciate everything that we go through together. I appreciate the time they allow me to cry and vent. I appreciate the experiences that they've led me into. I appreciate the challenges they continue to hand out to me, because every now and again I hear, oh, this Irene can do, oh, that Irene can do. And most of the time I'm shocked to say, really, do they really think I can do that? So I'm just grateful and appreciate every situation that they've thrown me into, because I've come out strong, I've come out better. I've cried through it, but I definitely have come out stronger and better. So I really just appreciate every situation. And for them also listening, like, I cry, and I've been like, this morning I was crying to my sister about an assignment I'd been given in articles, and I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And she was like, go and do it. You can do it. So I appreciate them just sitting and listening. And that's something that, if on embracing your upbringing, just having people who listen to you is a big thing, because my upbringing has been conversations and experiences. So anyone who gives you an opportunity to have a conversation with already is molding who you are. Anyone who gives you an opportunity who listens to you, has time to listen to you, please, it's already part of molding who you are. So never take that for granted. And I don't take any of the conversations with my family for granted. I hold all those conversations dear to my heart. So yeah, I appreciate and love them all.
Well, you better tell people to watch this one. People must watch. They will know you better. They will love you deeper, and they will embrace you tighter, because I'm proud of you, and it's been an honor to have you on this show, Coach. She's a life coach too. I mean, I would trust her to coach me or my child or whoever it is, because you're living your truth, and you're living it with all the mistakes and with all your growth, and you're not afraid to ask. You're not shy. My favorite is when you've been quiet for like 3 months, and then from nowhere, like, hi Tenda, you at home? Like, Sha, I have an issue. Like, is not my issue. I have an issue now. And please share that as much as you can. Teach other young people that opportunities are not necessarily because of where you were born or which family you come from, but it's what you pursue, what you see, and the networks you create for yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to say before we shut this down, Mommy?
Just to encourage everyone to just take time to understand their background, because it has influenced who you are right now, and will influence the goals that you have for your life. So I always deal with my life in terms of the past, present, and the future. So embrace your past, embrace it and love it and accept it, and allow it to actually, it's already affecting your present, and you want it to be able to condition your future. So continue to embrace who you've been, continue to understand. My mom always says, like, I used to just listen to that and say, oh yeah, but in the sense that you're saying, understand the strengths and the weaknesses that you come with, so that as you're planning for your future, you're planning with all those things in mind, because they're already a part of you. So take time to understand your background, understand it, embrace it, and allow it to shape your future, for you to be able to say, I'm not going to be that, I am going to be that. I'm going to read that, I'm not going to read that. I'm going to be a part of that, I'm not going to be a part of that, because you understand your background. So fully embrace it. Like, take time to rewrite what your background actually really means to you, so that you can be fully present in your now.
You can't be 25, Irene. That's a lie. I mean, your wisdom is beyond your years.
Oh, thank you.
And somebody just gave you an idea. My other friend, Satenda, the one I was telling you about, she says you should also offer virtual tours of the school, especially like the village, whatever. So that's a great idea. We can do virtual. We can. Tisma board member. We will make sure it happens. Well, thank you so much, and please do subscribe to Sokostina. on YouTube. Do share this conversation. Do follow Irene. And of course, do buy the book online and from me. Well, Wiseau is going to buy some in copies. So,
Yeah.
I'm about to be a bestseller. Thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
everyone.
much. Alrighty. So there you have it, guys. My conversation with Irene has been absolutely refreshing. 25-year-old who is changing the world, of the world around her, and of course the world within herself. So get a copy of A Letter to My Son. We were talking lesson 21, embracing your upbringing, and you can see this young lady, 25, like 1, 2, 3, 5. Guys, come on, man. We're doing the most. Okay. I love you. See you next week. I'm bringing somebody exciting. You know I always do.